entre autres, presque tous les commerces sur le boulevard Pierrefonds, surtout au coin de Saint-Jean et boulevard Pierrefonds. And the reason I bring that up in Pierrefonds Boulevard and St. John's is because we had a supermarket there once upon a time where the owner of this small strip mall is losing extensive amounts of money because he has had some offers to be able to either transform that property or even occupy it. And because of this intervention plan or this map that it sits on, due to the sewer backup and not necessarily the river cresting, is unable to occupy that space. On sait très bien qu'on a des résidents avec les dossiers qui ne sont pas réglés depuis 2017. On a d'autres depuis 2019 qui veulent faire des changements à leur résidence, soit l'argent n'est pas nécessaire à l'heure, ou ils ne peuvent pas parce que nous, comme arrondissement, on n'a pas la capacité de donner des permis nécessaires pour faire les travaux nécessaires. Je peux vous dire aussi, et je vais laisser M. Leblanc et M. Romano vous parler un peu de la situation concernant le côté résident et qu'est-ce que ça fait au niveau de stress, problèmes psychologiques. Vous pouvez imaginer des problèmes financiers, des assurances, etc., que messieurs vont vous parler. Je vais vous dire aussi, je vais parler un peu très brièvement parce que j'ai quand même dit beaucoup depuis lundi au conseil municipal de la ville concernant les 50 millions que la ville de Montréal a obtenus du gouvernement fédéral. On ne parle pas des terrains que la ville a décidé d'acheter. On n'est pas contre l'effet que la ville a décidé d'acheter des terrains pour préserver le secteur ouest de Pierrefonds. C'est pas du tout ça qu'on disait. On ne parlait pas de l'initiative de présenter à l'arrondissement quelques installations comme les stations de pompage, les batteurs d'eau et les changements et les améliorations sur le système d'eau pluviale dans l'arrondissement. D'ailleurs, c'était notre initiative. Et heureusement, avec l'aide de services de l'eau de Montréal, ça fait quand même à peu près 1 an qu'on travaille ce dossier pour avoir les installations sur notre territoire, mais aussi d'avoir les réponses nécessaires. Parce qu'on a questionné quelques emplacements et malheureusement, malgré le fait que la Ville de Montréal dit qu'on a eu les réponses, on n'a pas eu les réponses. Moi, je vous dis les faits aujourd'hui, mesdames et messieurs. So what we are questioning has never been the purchase of land. It hasn't been the installation of some of these systems that will help us in the waterworks network to avoid some of the backflow that we have throughout the neighborhoods, particularly on Pierrefonds Boulevard. What we're talking about here is the lack of planning and coordination by all levels to be able to talk about permanent solutions in Pierrefonds Roxborough that affected close to 800, 900 homes in the residential areas. And by that I mean natural dikes. I'm talking about the eventuality of possibly seawalls and other methods that are used throughout the world to fight flood crisis like the ones we've seen the last 3 years. Encore en français, je vais le dire, on ne questionne pas l'achat, on ne questionne pas l'initiative de travailler avec nous pour changer ou réparer ou améliorer le système réseau d'eau de l'arrondissement. On questionne la manque de communication et la manque d'initiative de la Ville de Montréal pour nous aider dans des solutions permanentes comme des digues naturelles ou autres dans les secteurs visés par les inondations qui ont touché à peu près 800 résidences en 2017. Et grâce à nos interventions, on était capable, avec des mesures temporaires, de sauver à peu près 95% de ces gens en 2019. Mais ceci étant dit, On ne peut pas, comme arrondissement, comme communauté, comme bénévole, comme citoyen, faire ça chaque année. C'est complètement impossible de penser qu'on a les ressources et la capacité comme arrondissement de le faire. Le temps qu'on est là, on va faire le plus possible et plus qu'on a fait en 2019 pour protéger les communautés. Mais ce n'est pas ça la solution. On n'a vu aucun positionnement sur les mesures temporaires de la Ville de Montréal. Et on parle d'achat d'équipements et de ne pas laisser les arrondissements faire ça. Et je ne parle pas juste pour Pierrefonds-Roxborough, je parle, j'imagine, pour d'autres arrondissements et les villes un peu partout au Québec. Les mesures temporaires qu'on faisait, disons, avec les sacs de sable, on pouvait faire dans une fraction de temps avec des modules, avec des murets portatifs, avec des systèmes qui existent un peu partout. Mais malheureusement, on n'a pas eu de réponse ni de retour de la Ville de Montréal. Encore, ce n'est pas nécessairement pour critiquer. Je vous dis les faits parce que c'est inacceptable qu'on a vécu à Pierrefonds, qu'est-ce qu'on a eu les 3 dernières années, et de ne pas avoir, pas juste les réponses, mais de ne pas avoir même l'ouverture de nous rencontrer, pas dans un bureau à Québec, pas dans un bureau au centre-ville, mais ici à Pierrefonds, où on va être capable de marcher les rues, parler avec les résidents et de voir qu'est-ce qu'on voit tous les jours ici à Pierrefonds. Et si j'ai quelque chose que je peux sortir aujourd'hui, on est prêt à accueillir nos collègues de Québec et Montréal ici à Pierrefonds et de venir ici à Pierrefonds. On peut faire une journée, un forum, si vous voulez, pour les inondations. On va inviter quelques citoyens aussi de participer à cet événement et de faire un événement pour donner la chance à tout le monde de s'exprimer, donner les idées, donner leurs expertises et pour nous aussi d'obtenir l'expertise des autres aussi. Parce que ce n'est pas tout à fait évident. Ce n'est pas parce qu'on était capable en 2019 de faire ce qu'on a fait qu'on est devenu expert nécessairement. So, folks, this is the message today that we have. And without going any further, I'm just going to say a bit of that in English, and then I'll pass this on to these gentlemen here, and they'll talk to you. We also have residents in the room here that have particular issues. We have a gentleman, Robert, here, who I see in the audience, who has already prepared, from what I understand, a class action suit against the different levels of government on particular issues that they're dealing with. So you can imagine that this is far-reaching here. And I'm not only talking about Pierrefonds-Roxborough. We also have our neighbors in Ile-Bizarre, Saint-Geneviève, which we were also actively helping throughout this crisis and trying to get them through it. So we're saying clearly here in the borough that the frustration level, and for those of you that know me, don't know me in this state very often. However, it is to be said that we are willing to hold a forum here and a meeting with all the stakeholders, which we've asked many times, which had been promised many times, that has never materialized. And we are saying it publicly again today with the help and support of our residents who are still suffering in many cases, to have the representative of these government levels come to Pierrefonds. We'd be willing to host an event where we would have everybody around the table, people speaking on all facets of the floods, and have them come here, walk our streets with our residents, meet the people that are in this room and the ones that are in their homes, some of the elderly, people that have been there for decades of their life, that have gone through this crisis. Puis je voulais pas terminer sans dire. Hier, on a entendu de l'exécutif de Montréal, on a entendu beaucoup, mais on a entendu que l'achat des terrains dans l'ouest de Pierrefonds, c'était pour minimiser les impacts en cas d'inondation dans le futur. Regardez, je ne suis pas expert là-dedans, là. Mais un territoire qui est situé au bout de l'arrondissement, comment quelqu'un peut me dire que si jamais l'eau monte, puis on est inondé à l'arrondissement, ça va sauver les gens sur De Gaulle, les gens sur Rive-Roisée, les gens côté nord de Roxborough, Lalande. Écoutez, ça ne fait pas de sens. Acheter pour acheter, je comprends, et je partage, et je suis d'accord. Mais de dire qu'un est lié à l'autre,
fait pas de sens. Et moi, j'invite mes collègues qui vont voir ce reportage de communiquer avec nous, avec nos citoyens, de faire le plus vite possible, d'avoir une rencontre pour discuter des choses importantes chez nous, à Pierrefonds qui affectent nos résidents. Merci. Monsieur Leblanc et Monsieur Romano, you want to stay here? This won't go, so your voice is going to have to carry.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming in today. We represent the citizens of Pierrefonds, Roxborough here, and many others who are being affected by the flood. And I wanted to comment on the mayor of Pierrefonds and the rest of the staff for inviting us to this forum, basically to talk to you. We're real people. This is not about buildings, homes, etc. We're real people here. We're very concerned, and we've seen the many levels of stress and anxiety throughout this period of time since 2017. We feel like we held hostage. We held hostage through the many levels of government, and this is really for Prime Minister Legault and Valerie Plante to take action and communicate with each other to do the right thing and to come down here as Mr. Bates invited and suggested to basically take action in the matters. We have a situation here where we can't wait for too many seasons to pass by in regards to the flood. So Renee is going to talk about that.
I'd like to add, thank you, Betsy. What we'd like to share with you today is real life stories about what's happened. So from a lack of preparedness to nonsense to insanity. That is pretty much what flood victims have endured since 2017. Although the street that I live on that was hit hard in 2017, our street was not flooded in 2019. Many areas of Pierrefonds, Roxborough were, however. We were not flooded, and we believe and are convinced that it was through the efforts of our borough, our council, and the employees of Pierrefonds, Roxborough that took solutions, and then we'll revisit that zone. But in the meantime, as homeowners, and we're talking about thousands of homes here, as homeowners, we're running into problems with, not just the psychological stress, not just the everyday anxiety, but we've got some real problems regarding insurance. If you got a problem with insurance, you're going to have a problem with the bank. You got a problem with the bank, you got a problem with the rest of your life. But and the real estate values. Well, we've met with real estate brokers are going, well, you have to understand that you live in Pierrefonds, and Pierrefonds has been underwater. So, excuse me, the entire island, probably, I don't know, 3/4 of the people live within 5 streets of the water. What is this excuse that you're giving us? So, but in the meantime, while we've got that problem, we expect that our home values have gone down. However, they've been upset by the city sending us a letter recently increasing the home evaluation.
Yes.
So the market value has gone down, home values have gone up, so we can expect that we're going to pay more taxes with being added in the next 3 years. So.
Yeah, and to add to that, just to think about the situation when I meant hostage, what we cannot do anything. Insurance are going to already drop off one of our neighbor. So they told her that they cannot insure her on that, and then she's going to have a problem with the financial institution for the mortgage, right? But this is a small story. But imagine the stress today. It's a special day today. It's let's talk, Bill. Let's talk today. And this is exactly the type of stress that we're talking about with regards to many families who are constantly thinking, coming April, what are we going to do? Are we going to get flooded? Or are we not? Are we protected enough or not? Thank God for 2019 to prove that there is a solution. The administration here did an amazing job in 2019 where they brought in a solution, they were proactive, and they managed to do it on a temporary basis. But the federal government in August, Prime Minister Trudeau sent $50 million to Valerie Plant to basically say, you are going to use this to build permanent solutions on a specific street that they mentioned there. Lake Pierrefonds, Jacques Bizard, etc. And so far, we didn't hear anything. And when we came to the mayor to ask him what was going on, he didn't hear anything. So that's some accountability issues here that need to be responded to us and to the many residents of Pierrefonds and Roxborough with regard to the flood. So we want answers. We need answers.
We find ourselves currently in a dark space, in a dark place where we no longer can seek the protection of our province. The inaction of the ville de Montréal, where I haven't yet to see a plan d'action. And how can a city like ours, who has vulnerable areas to water damage, not have a plan? That's what I was talking about, being from nonsense to sanity earlier. I can't believe that anybody here would go on a trip without a map and without a target or an objective. And if you don't, how do you know you're going to be there when you get there? Because you don't know where you're going. And so plan d'action, with the lack of timetable, signifies to me that somebody doesn't have things. I want to add to what Isaac was saying about people in the city. I see my neighbors here. We're still going through, after 2.5 years, where I know a couple of neighbors who haven't yet resolved their claim file for 2017. I'm working with a neighbor to help as much as possible. That's what we're doing with the neighbors. But there is one neighbor who's going through a personal tragedy. They finished with the MSP in terms of their 2017 claim. But in the meantime, one of the members of that family needs to be placed in a home where he will get care. The family has used all their savings to rebuild the home so that they're able to sell it. And they have to sell it so that one of the members can be placed in a home and the other member can find subsidized housing somewhere else without owning the home. But right now, it's just, I can't sell my house. So these are real life stories. These are tragedies. And beyond all that, we estimate that with what happened in 2019, our borough experienced, experimented, and found the solution. So we have a solution that's been proven. We have the resources, the main-d'oeuvre, the labor to do the job. We have the leadership. We have the money, but we have to. There is money somewhere, right? We have the money somewhere. And
there's no will.
There's no will to do so. We don't understand how can everything be there to find a solution to all of these homes, thousands of homes, that can be used elsewhere too, and we don't have a plan d'action.
Merci René. Je vais juste ajouter un détail. Dans le 50 millions, le gouvernement, la Ville de Montréal a dit qu'ils vont utiliser une partie de 50 millions pour l'installation des stations de pompage. Comme j'avais dit au début, c'est correct, parce que c'est notre initiative. On a travaillé avec le service de l'eau pour déterminer les besoins à ce niveau. Et on sait très bien, on ne peut pas nécessairement commencer de mettre un digue ici, un digue là, un digue plus loin, sans avoir un portrait à l'ensemble, qu'est-ce qui peut arriver un peu plus loin. Et c'est pour cette raison, quand je siégeais au CMN, aux Communautés métropolitaines de Montréal, l'idée c'était de travailler à l'ensemble, Montréal, Laval, Rive-Sud, etc., pour trouver des solutions pour toutes les communautés. Mais depuis l'élection, on n'était pas choisi pour siéger au CMN, J'ai aucune idée où ce dossier est rendu. Mais je comprends et je suis conscient qu'effectivement, ça prend un vue d'ensemble. There are residents in our community that are willing to pay out of pocket to build retaining walls and portable dikes on their properties, which we cannot give them the permits and the authorization to do so. And when we ask for this, you're asking somebody respectfully in Quebec that maybe has no knowledge of the ground to authorize something that they have no idea what they're authorizing. Et c'est pour cette raison qu'on demande depuis longtemps de rencontrer ces gens ici chez nous, puis on va prendre la journée pour passer à travers les communautés. Merci.
Merci. Alors, on va passer à la période de questions. On va dicter en français.
Passer le message à Valérie Plante là, qu'on vit sur l'île de Montréal, qu'on devrait prendre des mesures, toute l'île. Toutes les autres villes dans le monde, comme vous dites, qui ont des solutions pour ça, puis ils se préparent pour des cas qui vont continuer à arriver, New York, partout. Ça n'a aucun sens que je viens d'apprendre que vous avez eu 50 millions, je ne savais même pas. Parce qu'il n'y a pas de communication, c'est fou. Moi, je suis dans le 10 parce que j'ai une pente de garage. Fait que là, j'essaie de vendre ma maison, je peux pas la vendre parce que j'ai pas d'eau, moi, là. J'ai jamais eu d'eau dans ma maison, j'ai même pas de pompe parce que ma pente à garage, elle descend. Oh, ben, madame, c'est le nouveau. Je suis même pas sous le bord de l'eau. Je peux pas vendre ma maison.
C'est pour cette raison qu'on est là aujourd'hui.
Ça n'a pas de bon
Puis je pense, madame la mairesse, avec respect,
ben oui, madame, là, Plante, faites quelque chose, parce que ça n'a aucun sens. J'en reviens pas On est comme dans une bulle dans le West Island qu'on est complètement ignoré. Enough is enough, for God's sake.
Vous savez, c'est des choix qu'on fait en politique. Et la Ville de Montréal, pas pour les défendre, mais ont pris la décision de dépenser le 50 millions comme ils ont décidé, d'acheter des terrains et une partie utilisée pour qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec le réseau pluvial. But in their defense, and I have to try to stay as positive as I can, in their defense, I honestly don't think that maybe they even understand the magnitude of what we're dealing in our community.
No, they don't.
And the reason that is because no one is here to meet us and to see us and to visit these areas. So in their defense, I have to say that because it can't be ignorance. It can't be. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I suspect it's probably that they don't even know what the long-term solutions will be. Hence the answer I got yesterday at the executive, by the executive member at council meeting that told me that the idea of installing dikes in these residential areas is extremely complicated and could take years. Well, of course it's going to take years if we're not even meeting about it. So that's my point.
Oui,
François.
La question est pour M. Leblanc et M. Romano. On parlait, en fait, je voulais savoir s'il y a question de legal action, s'il y a question d'une action collective contre la ville, en fait, contre une manière ou d'une autre, dans votre démarche.
Well, I'm going to just to mention that we actually talked about probably sending a mise en demeure to the city of Montreal to let them know that in future flooding we will hold them responsible because of this reason that they're not taking any action to protect us when they don't have the bill.
How many residents would be involved in such an undertaking?
It's too early to say. C'est une bonne heure. Vous savez, pour nous, suite aux inondations de 2019, la Ville de Montréal et notre gouvernement du Québec nous ont mis en otage. Okay? Comme on a mentionné tout à l'heure, les solutions sont là. Les endroits problèmes ont été identifiés. On a l'expérience ici. On a l'argent. On a les solutions. Il manque un plan d'action ou il manque une volonté. Alors, est-ce que c'est suffisant pour dire aux leaders du gouvernement, des deux paliers gouvernementaux, qu'on vous tient responsable? Si on est endommagé, sans compensation, on fait quoi? C'est pas ma maison, c'est
des centaines de maisons, c'est des milliers de maisons. Comprenez? Alors, est-ce qu'on est justifié, on croit qu'on est justifié pour aller plus loin, même prendre une mesure légale?
Est-ce qu'il y a une autre question? En anglais?
En anglais.
Alors, est-ce qu'on va terminer la période de questions en français d'abord? Est-ce qu'il y a des questions en français? Oui, allez-y.
Je vais poser la question, moi. Comment ça se fait que vous arrivez avec une carte et vous dites vous avez de l'eau sur la rue Labelle, là, mettons, vous avez de l'eau. Ça vient de où, ça? C'est truqué ici.
Ça, c'est
Qui est-ce qui a travaillé?
sur Labelle, Graton, Saint-Pierre, entre autres. C'est sûr, c'est comme Pierrefonds, c'est le réseau pluvial. Et c'est pour cette raison, sans aller vraiment en détail, qu'on pose des pompes au bout de Graton, sur le coin, qui va vers 6 membres. Vous savez, on est rendu presque des experts là-dedans, là, parce que c'est vraiment comme un casse-tête. Puis ça fait depuis des années qu'on met des pompes là, à cause que le terrain est beaucoup plus bas. Parce qu'à l'époque, et en effet, j'ai grandi sur Graton. Et les années 70, on a eu des inondations à l'époque même. Parce que le terrain est beaucoup plus bas à cet endroit-là. Et le réseau pluvial draine, si vous voulez, sans aller vraiment dans le technique, à cet endroit-là. Mais avec l'installation des pompes, on était capable de régler la situation en 2019 très facilement. C'est une réponse très, très courte à la question, mais dans le fond, c'est à peu près ça qui arrive souvent sur la Belle et les environs.
I'd like to understand the 50 million. What portion was allocated to Pierrefonds? What do they plan on giving you, and what would you prefer to have?
Well, look, the $50 million, I mean, it's in their discretion how they choose to use it. The government has clearly stated, the federal government, that money was to be used to purchase lands and wetlands, preserve green space, and a portion of it be used for other mitigating measures, such as the installation of some pumps and stuff on strategic locations that we have given them. All of that is not disputed here. What we're saying is we don't even know the portion for what the land purchases will be, where exactly that money is going. Because certainly there may be properties that are waterfront, that are green now, that can be acquired by the City of Montreal. But we have no knowledge of that, is what I'm saying. What we would like to see, number one, is to make sure that they have a plan in place with our coordination in terms of what permanent solutions can be placed in the residential areas to prevent future flooding. If not complete areas, at least partial zones that we can complement after with other methods temporarily to prevent flooding in these areas. And we did a little bit of that in 2019. The ideal solution, you know what it would be? Give the communities the money. We know our community, we know our residents, we know the needs. Let us manage that purse. And if we have to invest $1 million or $2 million on waterfront protection, we'll let the experts in the local governments, who are a proximity service, be able to provide that. But at the end of the day, everybody has to work together, and that doesn't seem to be happening because the residents may be getting a different answer from what we get from the provincial government, and this was clearly identified on many occasions to this day. So if everyone is working on their own, again, in everyone's defense, of course it's going to happen. And what we're saying is, why haven't they heard us all this time and gotten everyone together so that we can once and for all have a joint action plan collectively with all levels of government to find solutions not only for our community, but I'm sure would help every other community in Quebec as well.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Dees. Given what's going on right now, are you saying that there's nothing in place should 2020 come with floodings like we did last year and 3 years ago?
There are two things that are in place if we have a flood in 2020.
One is that we are still active in our intervention plan locally, where we have identified areas, for example, that needed to be prioritized, even with the success that we had in 2019, that we will apply in every possible way to avoid flooding in those areas. We have also, as I stated earlier on, our services have been working with the Waterworks Division of Montreal to identify the material that we will need, such as the balloons, such as the cofferdams, and other temporary solutions like we had put in place in 2019, the rental of pumps, for example. All of that is still in the works. But again, should we be hit with another crisis in 2020, we will have to deal with it in a temporary way, as unfortunately there has been no permanent solutions put in place for this year.
Thank you.
Mr. Bates, so you mentioned there are two factors here. There's the money that could potentially be spent by your community on more permanent measures. But you mentioned earlier that if for dikes and things like that, you also need the authorization. So what has to happen, A, to get that money, and B, to be able to spend it in an effective way?
Well, the money that the City of Montreal has decided to spend the way they have, from what I understand, has already been spent. What I'm saying regarding the installations at any waterfront in any community throughout Quebec requires the authorization by primarily the Minister of Environment. And of course the neighboring residents that live in that area, because some people may not want to see a 6-foot seawall in front of their properties. What I'm saying is, none of the above can happen unless we all sit together and discuss these issues and clearly identify the locations to be able to collectively say, here is what we are proposing for our borough. Now, the capacity of the borough being what it is, not being able to pay, of course, we are dealing with a bedroom community tax base, we need funding from the other levels of government. That even in the eventuality that we find the solutions necessary to protect the residential areas, we still need the funding for it. But that to me is the next step. We need to first identify, we have sort of a template of what we need, but somebody needs to support us in that initiative and say, okay, well, this is what we need to build throughout the territory, and if not only here, Anse-Cartierville, Montreal North, Rivière des Prairies, that further down, Laval on the other side, I mean, Île-Bizarre, our neighbors to next to us, also have to adhere to that common vision, is what I'm saying.
And a follow-up on the special planning zones. These have been put in place, and you said that there were requests put in place to have some of the addresses removed. Can you give us a sense of if any of those addresses have been removed? What's the ratio here?
So, I don't have the exact percentage. Some have been removed, I have to say, for obvious reasons. For the same reasons probably that our neighbors, to the south of the West Island, when they were put on a map and have never through history ever had a drop of water, it made sense. So for some of them that were easy removals, I suspect that the government saw the common sense in that and removed. But there are others that are still flagrant. If I look at Pierrefonds Boulevard as an example, with the businesses that have lost, a ton of money because they haven't been either to operate or lost during the crisis, or their insurance companies, or all of the above. For those situations and others that live in some other smaller residential areas, Des Maçons, another prime example. When we are able to find a solution, and in 2019, 95% of our territory was dry, certainly that has to be taken into consideration by some authority. Yet at the moment, what it seems to be is that everybody is in a sort of wait-and-see scenario. Because, like I said earlier, I don't even think the authorities necessarily know exactly how to go about this because of the magnitude throughout the province and not necessarily our little world of Pierrefonds.
Would you suggest perhaps that perhaps maybe residents here or those close by that are affected, you're talking Île-Bizarre, you're Laval, what can they do? Should they do a writing an email or something, or write to the City of Montreal, write to Quebec, write to the feds? What would you suggest people who see and hear all this go, great, but as a single human being, what can we do to get, as you said, you're saying it's not ignorance, they just don't know. How do you get them here, Jim? What do you do?
Look, I think that I've always said in my 30 years of municipal life that the people have the voice. And today, standing in solidarity, how we are today, I didn't expect to have all these people here, and we do. I think that's a good start. The other thing too is, we can't ignore the fact that the residents here and many others, they've already submitted messages and clearly identified their needs to the powers that be. They've already sent requests to the governments. They've already opened files and have been dealing and trying to find some resolve in their issues. So that has been ongoing, which is fascinating even more, knowing that that has occurred since 2017, and we still find ourselves here after a successful year in 2019. You know, many would say when you have a successful year like we had, that we just pack it up, we just do the same thing, we're fine, we saved 95% of our territory, everybody thinks we did a great job, pack it up and go about our day-to-day. But it can't be about that because, again, it's temporary. We had, in one situation, a breach in a dike on the Gold. Triple dike we had built, without getting technical. Imagine, we're stopping a lake almost, forget a river. It's not a little stream here. By fluke, by pure luck and circumstances, my director of the borough, Dominique Jacob, happened to be on site that day, that spot, that day, with our director of public works. I came soon after. We dispatched that the army come and intervene because the water was flowing in and risked flooding hundreds of homes. Panic set in, right? I'm not an author, but you can imagine what book that could write. The army, because of their proximity that day, we were lucky to stop the breach and save that area by pure chance. So regardless of everything that we did to succeed, Mother Nature being what it is, we could have lost everything at a moment's notice. So we can't sit on that, is what I'm saying. And that's why we have to go further.
But it seemed to all work really well, you know, like you were saying last year. So why can't you just keep doing that? And if you're left to keep doing that, you're not going to have the same result in 2020 and beyond?
Look, there are many factors that when you deal with crisis management that affect any result. And certainly we're going to do everything above and beyond what we did in 2019 if we have to. But I mentioned it earlier, as a community, it is impossible that we expect not only the administration, the staff, the material that's required, the human impact, the psychological stress that it causes not only on the people that live in these areas to this day, but to the staff, to all of us that are looking at the weather for the first time in our lives, driving down to the river almost daily to making sure that the water is at an acceptable level, monitoring graphs with our directors to making sure that we're in the right path. This is enormous when you think of the impact that it has. Like I said, we will do everything we can. This event and episode cost $6.3 million.
Not including volunteerism.
Not including all the hours, all the donated food and services, all of the above, the gas out of pocket. So, again, give us $2 million a year.
Can you guys not afford to do it on your own?
No. Their communities, residential communities, don't have the capacity to be able to do that out of their operating budgets. And this is why, like the $50 million, for example, that's given by the federal government. I mean, the cities don't have that type of funding available to them.
On va prendre une dernière question. Par la suite, on va procéder avec des entrevues individuelles avec le maire et les citoyens dans la salle. J'ai ici une résidente.
Yeah, I wasn't affected by the flood on 2017 and 2019, but my street was. I'm on the shore.
Yeah.
So, yet, I'm in the flood zone right now. So, to me, I think the least the city can do is not charge us this tax so high because they evaluated my property, and yet the government devaluated my property. So I don't understand why the city doesn't even take this into account.
Well, this is another ongoing issue that we have. The evaluation role is every 3 years. It evaluates our properties according to market value. And I've brought this point up, ma'am, several times, where I've been told by authorities in Quebec that no, affect anything. Problem is that as soon as you are in a flood zone identified, and in your case even worse because you were never flooded,
Like me, same thing.
you are potentially not going, and I'm not a real estate agent, but I suspect that you may not be able to sell your home at the value you would have been able to in
Exactly,
2016.
that's happening to me now.
The valuation they have right now for
Right.
taxes is 2020,
Right.
21, and 22. Why couldn't they have adjusted this?
Well, this is it, and if any residents, we put this information out already, if there are residents that would want to, at any time, contest the evaluation roll, especially with the issues that we're dealing with this new map, certainly we can guide you, and I have my staff in the room as well, and we can guide you to at least send the right authorities with our support, of course.
Well, that's adding insult to injury. After all this, to contest it, we have to pay $75 to file. They
Well-
do better.
Well, look what we're going to do,
I don't
ma'am.
know what they did to us, and now we have to pay $75.
Look what we're going to do, because we can talk about this all morning, and I share your opinion, I really do, and I'm sympathetic to what you're saying to me. And so we have our staff here, and we'll distribute our card, okay? Madame Monson, who's my attaché, will give you her card, and contact her, and we will make sure that at least we put you with the right. And if it is an issue, paying that money to contest your role, evaluation role, maybe that could be a question on our part to that level of government to be able to understand that the reality here may not be like someone that doesn't agree with, 5,000 increase on his house for any reason but the flood. So we'll help you out with that one, okay? And the ones that deal with this.
Ça va être terminé. On
Merci
va
tout le monde.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup.